Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Lighten Up with Bo. How are you today? I'm him. I'm he. I am they. I am them. I am all of the above. Welcome. Is it your first time here? Or are you just back doing lessons with me? Whatever brought you here today, I'm so grateful that you're here. The only intention for this channel is that when you arrive, you leave a little bit lighter. Lightening up is not some spiritual bypass term where it's just trying to tell you, hey, even though you're perceiving all this insanity and you feel lost and you feel alone and you feel scared, just lighten up, man, woman, person. No, what it means is there is a version of ourselves, our soul, that lives above all the madness, not because it doesn't see the madness, but because it knows that none of this madness can harm it in any way. Because it's really happening in a dream of our soul. To awaken, to become enlightened, to become in the Christ consciousness is to be awakened into the consciousness of a mind that only lives in love and oneness always. It is a mind that has undone the attachments of fear, duality. What you believe, you will create. And so my channel is really just to help people lighten up, but what that means is to lighten up into your soul, to the true self, not this dualistic separate you that's always bummed out, always in pain, always anxious, always searching, always trying to find, but never actually finding. So I'm going through these lessons in A Course in Miracles because it's a pretty in-depth book that is meant to help you remember the truth of who you are by looking at all the stuff that's not who you are. But it can be a lot for a lot of people. So I just wanted to go through it in a way that hopefully was lighter and more relatable. So whatever brought you here today, I'm glad you're here. And we're going through the lessons of A Course in Miracles right now. If you do want to reach out to me after this video, I have a website called Lighten Up Movement. That's right, movement. It's a movement. And there's a lot of fun things on there. You can reach out to me directly, email me. I'd love to hear from you. So let's dig into lesson 72. Lesson 72 in A Course in Miracles. This is a long one. Some of you probably already looked at it. I know. Folks, I told you when you started doing these lessons, the pathway to freedom doesn't have to be hard, but it requires what's going to feel like a lot to an ego mind that doesn't want to have anything to do with this inner work. It just wants us to do like a 3-day workshop and be fixed. Good to go. It just wants a pseudo solution. So anyway, this one's a lot, and I'm going to do my best to make it light and fluffy and easy. And so first off, what I've been doing is, what is this lesson? Some of you just came here and you need a little answer. Maybe you don't want to listen to me read the whole lesson. Up to you. But there's a lot of juice in it. But nonetheless, what is this lesson really saying? Well, lesson 72 is holding grievances. By now, you've learned grievance. A grievance is a judgment. It's a judgment. It's a resentment. A grudge. Holding grievances, judgments, grudges is an attack on God's plan for freedom. Salvation is the word it uses, but I always change words to make it relatable. If you've just made it to my videos, maybe you didn't know that words are just symbols that we created in this dream to give some kind of sense of identity or control to things. They're just words. We made them up. We gave these words all the meaning they have. Before the words, before the meaning, there just was the truth. So holding judgments, and interestingly enough, an attack, another word for an attack is to judge, to criticize, to blame, to label. So I'm going to read the lesson again. Holding judgments is a judgment on God's vision for freedom. So what does it really mean today? I'm going to boil it down as easy as I can. For some of you, this is going to still seem like a lot, so I'm going to speak it slowly. The Course in Miracles is pointing to that everyone's true identity, which is a shared identity, is of soul, is of spirit. It's of a nature that is not based with the eye's vision. It's not a body. It's not something that we see in form. Our soul is a formless one essence that is in constant unity with all existence. Maybe you want to call it matter. Maybe you want to call it I don't know what you want to call it. Maybe you want to call it electrons. It doesn't matter the word you call it. It's a unified conscious state that we're all connected to. Always. That is the truth of our soul. But when you make judgments from a personality that thinks it's a body, and then you believe that's what you are, well, by nature, you're going to believe and judge everyone by what they are. But what is this doing accidentally? When you judge yourself as something you're not, and then you judge others as something they're not, we unintentionally place that same judgment on God. We then make God something that it's not, a body, some guy with a white beard in the sky, some essence that has the same qualities that we do. Otherwise, we couldn't stand it. So we let go of our true qualities, we make up our own, and then we assign God these qualities too. So basically what it's saying is every time you hold a judgment against yourself and others, it's basically a criticism, a judgment, an attack on God's plan for freedom, which is to let go of the identities of a body, of an essence that can grow old and sick and die. So when we judge, we basically root ourself into that identity. We keep a grasp on it. And when we judge others, we do the same. So we make others and God like the judgments that we hold in our mind. And all we can do is make judgments about things that we tend to not think that we can see the inner world, the inner state, the formless nature. So we limit ourselves and everything to that same judgment. And judgments are an attack. Because by nature, before judgment, we were just living in a harmonious state of oneness, which we really still are. So that's the shortest version. I'm going to get to the reading and I'll break it down. But really, all your judgments are costing you freedom, and they're basically kind of an accidental assault on the plan of awakening. Every time we think we can judge successfully apart from oneness. So, wow, we're 7 minutes in. Sorry about that, folks. Sorry about those that are waiting to jump right to the lesson. But here's the lesson. Paragraph 1, while we have recognized that the ego's plan for freedom is the opposite of God's, we have not yet emphasized that it is an active assault on its plan and a deliberate attempt to destroy it. So basically, the ego mind of fear's only goal is to be in opposition to God's plan for love and freedom. The ego mind, which we created to be a protecting mind, basically is an assault. Because if we give fear power, then we give two opposing forces equal power, love and fear. But there is no other power other than love. And a mind that believes that is in opposition all the time. So if we believe that, right, we have not yet emphasized that it is an active assault on its plan and a deliberate attempt to destroy it. The ego wants nothing to do with love and freedom. In this judgment, in this attack, God is assigned the attributes which are actually associated with the ego, while the ego appears to take on the attributes of God. I know that makes sense, but it's going to explain. Paragraph 2, the ego's fundamental wish is to replace God. Again, even the word ego and God are symbol words that we made to define something. The ego, or the mind of fear, the split mind, the mind of duality, the opposite of oneness. The ego's fundamental wish, this is another way to say it. Duality's fundamental wish is to replace oneness. In fact, the ego is the physical embodiment of that wish. Where there was one, now there's other. There's me and there's you. Success. I'm a separate me. Dun 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 dun. For it is this wish which seems to surround the mind with a body, keeping it separate and alone and unable to reach other minds except through the body, which was made to imprison the mind. See, we are infinite mind in infinite realities, creating infinite universes and worlds, a universal essence that is in all life, in all realms of spirit and soul and nature. It is a force, a source. But what happens is we dumb ourselves down into this dream of the human experience. We call ourselves a body. I'm me. This is my birthday. This is my gender. This is my nationality. This is my horoscope. This is my zodiac. This is my human design. This is my astrological sign. And we build these little separate bodysuits around a mind, so we think. So now we become some body, and we think we're a separate body with a separate body mind now. And the only way that I can really communicate to you is by putting my body in front of your body, because our minds are separate. I have a mind and you have a mind. And now we're all just a bunch of separate minds running around in our little make-believe kingdoms, but we're separate. So that's what that means. For this, it is the wish which seems to surround the mind with a body, keeping it separate and alone and unable to reach other minds except through the body, which was made to imprison the mind. The body was made to seemingly be a little cell for the mind. This, however, cannot be true communication. The limit on communication cannot be the best means to expand communication. Meaning, if the body was meant to be a limit on true one communication, then a limit cannot be the best way to expand. Yet the ego would have you believe that it is. Paragraph 3. Although the attempt to keep the limitations which a body would impose is obvious here, it is perhaps not so apparent why holding judgments is an attack on God's plan for freedom. Some of you were already saying that earlier when I read it. You're like, I don't understand, man. Here we go. But let us consider the kinds of things which you are apt to hold judgments for. Are they not always associated with something a body does? Somebody's physical body? A person says something we do not like. They do something that displeases us. They betray our hostile thoughts with our behavior. We are not dealing here with what the person is. On the contrary, we are exclusively concerned with what they do in a body, their behavior, their actions. We are doing more than failing to help and freeing them from their limitations. We are actively trying to hold them to it by confusing the body with them and judging them as one. So when we associate what someone is with a body, instead of the unlimited nature as a soul, when we hold them to there's a body, there's the body that I call Sarah or Chanel or Tom, and that's who they are, that bodysuit. And then I hold them to all the behaviors that their body's doing. All right, stay with me, guys. I know it gets a little, but just stay with me. Herein is God's plan attacked. This is an assault to believe this. I know that word is aggressive, but it's an attack on truth. It's a criticism of truth. For if God's child is only a body, so must it be as well. A creator completely unlike its creation is inconceivable. Right? So see, even if you don't consciously do it, if you think that you are a creation of the creator, then for you not to be like the creator is inconceivable. So don't we all imagine God or oneness with some kind of physical aspect? We give it a form, an image, an idea. If God is a body, what must its plan for freedom be? What could it be but death? Whoa, how many people think that the way you get to freedom and joy is through dying? Well, it's a crazy life, but guess what? In the end, I'm going to die and I'm going to return to freedom. See, if we think we're bodies and then we judge God as a physical something, then the only plan for freedom, if we believe that, is it must be freedom comes through death, physical death. In trying to present itself as the author of life and not of death, it is a liar and a deceiver, full of false promises and offering illusions in place of truth. The body's apparent reality makes this view of God quite convincing. In fact, if the body were real, it would be difficult indeed to escape this conclusion. And every judgment that you hold insists that the body is real. Every time we judge, we're basically saying that body did something. This is what we boil this lesson down to, guys. Every time we judge, we're basically saying that somebody did something. We root them into that is what they are. Every time we judge, yep, they did it. It happens moment by moment by moment. We continually imprison ourselves into something that we're not. Every judgment that you hold insists that the body is real. It overlooks entirely what your brother and sister are. It reinforces your belief that they are a body, and it condemns them for it. And it asserts that their salvation, their freedom must be death. Projecting this attack onto God and holding it responsible for it. Come on, let's be honest. How many of us are like, God did it. God did that. God allowed it. God did it. When we're the one deciding the insanity and then creating our reality moment to moment to moment. God had nothing to do with it. To this carefully prepared arena, I love the words here. We're now looking at the ego's plan. To this carefully prepared arena, where angry animals and mammals seek for prey and mercy enters not. The ego comes to save you. God made you a body. Very well. Let us accept this and be glad. So we just go, okay, cool. God made us a body. We've decided that. Let us accept that and be happy. As a body, do not let yourself be deprived of what the body can give you. Take the little that you can get. God gave you nothing. The body is your only savior. It is the death of God and your freedom to hold this belief. This is the universal belief of the world that you see. Some hate the body and try to harm it and humiliate it. Others love the body and they try to glorify and exalt it. But while the body stands at the center of your concept of yourself, you are judging and attacking God's plan for freedom and holding your judgments against it and its creation, that you may not hear the voice of truth and welcome it as friend. Your chosen Savior takes its place instead, the ego. It is your friend, the ego. God now becomes the enemy. So what it's getting at here, again, this has been a lot. There's still more, but I'm just going to really break this down. We basically worship at the altar of the ego and we disguise it with God. We take all of these pseudo solutions that are wrapped up in a body. We go to these juicy events and we show up in these roles in the world. We create roles for ourselves and new identities and businesses and relationships, all attached with a bodily identity. And the ego becomes the friend. It says, hey man, worship this thing that you are. This is what you are. How dare you discount it, right? I'm actually going to read Robert Perry, who's kind of a Course in Miracles theologian, philosopher. He gets a little bit more detailed, but I highlighted this entire summary that he gave, so it's kind of helpful here. Why does seeing God as a body mean that its plan for salvation must be death? The next paragraph shows that this comes from projecting onto God your view of the intrapersonal dynamics of human bodies. It says that you sentence everyone else to death for their bodies not behaving the way that you want. And then you project this judgment onto God, holding it responsible for it. In other words, seeing yourself as a body, you demand that other bodies sacrifice for the sake of your needs. And then you punish them when they don't. Then you project this entire view onto God. So now God appears to be a larger body who demands that other bodies sacrifice to meet its demands, and then punishes them when they don't. This punishment, including the ultimate punishment, physical death, pays their debt to God. It is thus the way to reconcile with it, the way to find freedom. Seeing God as a body then inevitably leads to seeing its plan for salvation as being death. I hope that makes sense. This is why so many people think, well, at the end of the day, we got to pay the price of death. When this course is leading us to that you have one reality and it never needed a sacrifice to begin with. But every time you hold a judgment, every time you foundationally believe that your judgments about others and their bodies' behaviors are valid, you attack the possibility of hearing that small, still, loving voice that says, forget everything you thought you knew and come home. So we'll get into the actual meditative lesson now. We will try today to stop these senseless judgments on freedom. We will try to welcome it instead. Our upside down perception has been ruinous, has been devastating to our peace of mind. We have seen ourselves in a body and the truth outside us, locked away from our awareness by the body's limitations. Now we are going to try to see this differently. The light of truth is in us, where it was placed by God. It is the body that is outside of us and is not our concern. The mind that is limitless without a body. We think that we're an identity inside this body, and really this body is an image in the mind of the soul. What you are cannot be touched by the body. To be without a body is to be in our natural state. To be without a body is to be in our natural state. I'm going to say it again. To be without a body is to be in our natural state. To recognize the light of truth in us is to recognize ourselves as we are. To see our capital S self as separate from the body is to end the judgment and attack on God's plan for freedom and to accept the true self instead. And wherever it is accepted, it is accomplished already. Our goal in the longer practice period today is to become aware that God's plan for freedom has already been accomplished in us. To achieve this goal, we must replace judgments with acceptance. As long as we attack it, we cannot understand what God's plan for us is. We are therefore attacking what we do not recognize. Now we are going to try to lay judgment aside and ask what God's plan for us is. What is freedom, Father, Mother? What is freedom? I do not know. Tell me that I may understand. Then we will wait in quiet for its answer. We have judged God's plan for freedom without waiting to hear what it is. We have judged God's plan without waiting to even hear what it is. I don't know why he's doing. You haven't even listened. We have shouted our judgments and our pain and our rightness so loudly that we have not listened to its voice. We have used our judgments to close our eyes and stop our ears. Now we would see and hear and learn. What is freedom, Father? What is freedom, Mother? Ask and you will be answered. Seek and you will find. You are no longer asking the ego what freedom is and where to find it. You are asking it of the truth. Be certain then that the answer will be true because of whom and what you ask. Whenever you feel your confidence wane and your hope of success flicker and go out, repeat your question and your request, remembering that you are asking them of the infinite creator of infinity, who created you like itself. What is salvation, Creator? What is salvation, Father, Mother? What is freedom? I do not know. Tell me that I may understand. It will answer. Be determined to hear. 1 or perhaps 2 shorter practice periods, an hour, will be enough for today, since they will be somewhat longer than usual. These exercises are as follows. Hey, I forgot to turn that off. Let's do that right now. There we go. These exercises are as follows. So when you do the shorter practice periods today, you do like 1 or twice an hour. You say, holding judgments is an attack on God's plan for freedom. Let me accept it instead. What is freedom? Then wait a minute or so in silence, preferably with your eyes closed, and listen for its answer. So probably the longest lesson we've done yet, a lot to be covered, but it's really starting to bring home that we really have to see how we've misidentified as what we are, and that these judgments keep us, every time we judge in our individual mind that we think we are, separate from oneness, we solidify being an attack on the truth. We can't hear the voice for freedom calling us home. So today you're doing 2 10 to 15 minute longer meditations, right? So you're doing 1 when you wake up or earlier and 1 later. We're really getting into go mode now, 10 to 15 minutes, where we literally say, what is freedom, Father? I do not know. Tell me that I may understand. Use whatever words work for you, whatever word you call God. And then sit in 10 minutes and just listen for a voice, a still small direction. Maybe a thought in words that don't even seem like your own, but it gives you the instruction, be determined to hear. I do not know. And if you feel your mind start to think about a lot of things, just say, what is freedom? What is freedom? I do not know. You can say that to bring you back into presence. And then the shorter practices, again, are just 1 to twice an hour, 1 to 2 minutes. Even if you do it once an hour, you say those lines and then you listen. So you're basically asking all throughout today, what is freedom? What is salvation? I do not know. Tell me that I can understand. I hope you all enjoyed the lesson today. Some of them are going to be longer, but we're now laying the foundation for undoing the illusions of our mind. Thank you all for being here. Stay light. None of this is as serious as it may sound. We're just undoing everything we thought kept us in this bodily identity and asked for the truth to reveal itself to us, to liberate our mind. But in between all this stuff, go out and play. Let your heart call you into playfulness, fearless expression, lightness. If you liked it, great. Comment, subscribe, reach out to me at thelightenupmovement.com. I got all these fun little logos to help you remember. Part of the movement is I like to dress up this bodysuit in words and symbols that remind us to lighten up. So I'll see you on another video soon. Stay well.